Timotab, and today I'm going to solve 1080 Degrees by Ramplaner Qodec. I've been told that this might be a little on the tricky side, but I'm going to give it a go anyway, because it seems fairly simple in the construction, so there's probably some kind of trick to it, but we will see. The rules are fairly simple, so let's have a look at them. Normal Sudoku rules apply, so we're going to place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every box. Quadruples, digits in circles, must appear at least once in the 4 surrounding cells. So in those 4 cells, there'll be at least 1 2 and at least 1 8. In those 4 cells, there will be a 6 and a 7. Can't have duplicates because it's in one box. In those 4 cells, we'll have a 1, a 2, a 3, and some other digit, or possibly a repeat. Okay, well, with that, I am going to restart the puzzle to reset the timer, and let's begin. Okay, first thing in quadruples is to look for aligning numbers, which seem oddly few and far between. Okay, we know that there's a 1 in there somewhere, and we know that there's a 1 in there somewhere. There's a couple of things that does for us. One is these two can't be the 1 for this, so one of those is. And where does the 1 go in this row? It must be in one of these 3. I can do something similar here. There's a 3 there, so the 3 on this quadruple must be there. And now the 3 in this column must be in one of those 3. All right. There's a 2 in there and a 2 in there, but that doesn't really tell me where to place the 2's elsewhere other than these can't be 2's and these can't be 2's, and nor can these. I've got the same sort of thing with 5's here. There's not a lot of digits in common. In fact, no 2 adjacent circles seem to have any digits in common, which is going to be interesting. All right. So this 1, 2, and 3, one of these must be from 1, 2, and 3. At least one. And that means that at least one of 4 and 5 is going to get pushed, I'm going to say clockwise, because that's then going to push one of 6 and 7 clockwise. One of those is going to be from 1, 5, and 6, which is going to make that one of those to be 3 and 7. And that's going to follow on. Okay, so if both of those were from 5 and 6, then both of those would be from 3 and 7. That's the only places they would have left to go. Both of those would be 4 and 9. Both of those would be 5 and 8. That would be a 1. So that would be 3 and 9. That would be 4 and 8. In fact, that would be 4 and that would be 8. Oh, that's going to be a problem. Okay. If both of these are 5 and 8, then I've got an 8 around here. So the 8 would have to go there. So if that's 5, 8, if that were 5, 8, there we go, then that forces the 8 around this circle to be in these two, and now there's nowhere for the 8 to go there. Okay. So that means that this can't push both of its digits down. I wonder, is this your sneaky trick? If so, it's a very cunning sneaky trick. Let me just count. I've got 3, 5, 6, 7, 9. That's times 4, that's 36. And I've got 16 plus 4 5s, which is that's very, very nice. We have, in this set of 4 quadruples, we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 digits. Ignore the fact that I've got repeats, but I've got 9 digits there. And we can see that as 3, 2, 2, and 2. So each of these sets are 3, 2, 2, and 2. So I've got 4 such sets. So that's a total of 36 digits that are being allocated around the quadruple circles. Because none of them next to each other have any digits in common, we're not using any of the digits, any of the clues to represent a single digit. So each clue must represent its own digit without having another clue also representing that same digit. Now, these cells we have around this ring, around the central box, is 16 digits. And then we have another 5 there, and 5 there, and 5 there, and 5 there. That's another 20. That is also 36 digits. So these 36 cells must contain the 36 digits that are in these quadruple clues, because no pair of quadruple clues is representing the same digit in the grid. So now we've seen that I must push at least one digit clockwise on each pair because of this 1, 2, 3 and the 1, 5, 6. It's using up one of the sort of counterclockwise cells of the 2-digit clues. But if I try pushing both of them clockwise, I get a problem here with this 5, 8 and this 5, 8 and this 4, 8. So that means that, for example, this 4, 5, either that is a 4, 5 pair or that is a 4, 5 pair. Now the question is, how on earth do I use that? Do I go full pencil mark? That's certainly tempting. But let's see if there's anything else I can do first. Okay, I can see that there must be a 9 in one of those cells, because 9 can't be in any of those, because we know that this can only be made up from 1 to 8. And we see the same there. 9 is in one of those cells, so we get a digit 9 there. That's very nice. Neither of those blue cells can be a 9, so we get a 9 there. We know we have a 9 in there. Those blue cells can't be 9, so that's a 9. But we could have a 9 in here. Okay, anything else we can do similar to that? Okay, we don't have a 7 in there. Don't have a 7 in those blue cells, so one of those is a 7. We don't have a 2 in those, so there's a 2 there. Okay. We have a 3 here in one of those 4, and a 3 here in one of those 4. That uses up all of the 3s in rows 4 and 5 that we expect. So there's a 3 in one of those. And that confirms that there's with the 3 there. Okay. Okay, this 3 here means that that can't have a 3 in it. Right, that's because of the 3 here and the 3 here. That prevents that from having a 3. So that has a 3 in there. And because I can't put 2 of these digits here, or I'd have problems, yeah, because if I get 2 of those, that becomes 4, 5, that becomes 6, 7, that becomes 2, 8, that becomes 1, 5, 6, 3, 7, 4, 9. Yeah, that always pushes through. So, because I've got one of my 1, 2, 3 here, that must be a 1, 2 pair. So this is 4 or 7. That means that one of those 2 is a 1. So that's not a 1, and that is. One of those 2 is a 2, but I don't really want to mark across the box for corner marks. But now 1 is in one of those, so this does not have a 1 in it, so I've got a 1 up here. Okay. Right, because I can only put 1 of 1, 5, and 6 there, the other 2 must be up here. So they're 1, 5, and 6. I've already got my, no, need to be this side. But these have to be from 1, 3, and 9. And then 1 of 1, 3, and 9 will go in there. And then this has to be 2 from 2, 3, and 4, one of which is a 3, and then the other one will go there. Okay, so this is a 5 or an 8. But we know we've got an 8 around here somewhere and an 8 around here somewhere, so that can't be a 5. Sorry, that can't be an 8, that is a 5. So that is not 5. Okay, this is a 5 or an 8, because we know that one of these gets pushed across. And it's just occurred to me it's not necessarily the case that they have to be diagonally opposite either. That could be 4, 5 with the 3 here and then the 6 here, or 7. So I can't assume that that's the 5 or an 8. But one of those two is a 5. Okay. There is no 8 in any of those cells, so I can place 8 there, at least approximately. We already know that those can't be 8 because of these 8s and these 8s. That can't be an 8 because of this quad with this quad. So 8 is in one of those two. What about up here? 8's not in any of those. It's clearly not in any of those, so 8 is in one of those. And now 8 must be in these blue cells. So they must be, that must be where an 8 goes. That means that there is an 8 here. And in fact, if I thought about it, there is an 8 there, so neither of those is an 8, and this must be the 8 that goes with the 5 or 8. So that's an 8. That's not. That's not an 8, and that is. Okay, so right. So no, that's not an 8, and that's the 8. That goes there. So if I've got an 8 on this side of this quad, I need the 2 to be on the other side, and that's got to go there. That places a 2 by Sudoku into one of those two cells. This 8 on this side of the 4, 8 means that one of those two is a 4. This one is looking up. That is not a 1. Okay. Right, this 2 is looking over here. That's a 1. That's a 2. That means that that is a 1, 2, 9 triple. And now the 1 in this row must be here. This 2 is looking down, so that's not a 2. I need a 5 over here to be on the correct side of that quadruple clue, which means that that's not the 5 on this quad, so the 5 is there, one of those two, and that makes this a 3-4 pair. And that's not a 3. Okay. 8 is not in any of those, so 8 is in one of those two. In that box, that removes the 8 candidate from there, making that an 8. Okay. 8 is in one of those three. Right. 1 has nowhere else to go in this set of blue, so one of those is a 1. This must be a 1 or a 2, because I need one of those on this side of the 1 too. Okay. We have an 8 in one of those three. I need an 8 here for this 5/8 clue. So that removes 8 from those two cells. Sorry about that. So I need a 3 or a 9 here. I can't put the 1 there because we know that the 1's around here. So that's from 1, 3, and 9. Does that help any? Not 1, 3, and 9, 4, 3, and 9. That's better. And there's definitely a 4 there. Okay. That could be 4. If that's 4, then that must be 4. That would be 2. That would be 3. If that's 7, if that's 7, then there's no place for 7 here, and that makes that 7, and then there's no place for 7 in this box. So that is not a 7, that is a 4. That puts a 7 into one of those two. That makes this a 3 and this a 4. If 7 is in one of those two, then 7 is not in one of those. So 7 is there, and that makes the 3 up here. And if the 3 is up here, then the 3 over here must be down here. One of those two. Which makes the 5 go up here. This is very clever how it's flipping back and forth. That means that that's not a 5 there. The 5 is there. That is now a 3, 6 pair. Okay. Next deduction is so that's actually a 5, 7 pair, so let's tidy that up. That must be from 1, 3, and 6. I know that one of those is a 3. This is from 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, which is a little gnarly, but we can reduce some candidates there. 1 and 2 go from there. 4 goes from both of those. Right, one of those is a 3, so that is not a 3 and nor is that. These are from 1, 2, and 5. So 6 and 3. No, that can still be a 3. But definitely 6 is in one of those. That one can remove a 1 from there. Okay, so 6 is not there. There's a 3, 4, 6 triple there, making that 5 or 7. That means that one of those two must be the 6. So those can't be 6s. That places a 6 into one of those two, and it's not this one because of this pointing set of 6s. So that's a 6 there. And now we have a 1, 2, 3 triple, making this 5 or 7, but the 7 along here means that that's a 5. That's a 7. That's a 5. That's a 7. These 3 digits are 3, 5, and 6. Okay. Seven must be in one of those two. Uh, 7 along with 2 and 4, because one of those is a 3, so that can't be a 3 there. Okay. Let's see if we've got anything else going on over this side. We have a 6 in one of those 3. We have a 6 over here, eliminating that, so that's a 6. Which makes sense because one of those two is a 6 in the blue. This is a 1, 2, 5 triple from our 5s. So 3, 4, 7, and 8. What remains? Okay, well this 7 is looking across there. That's a 7, 8 pair. This is now 3, 4, and 6. And this one is not a 6. Okay. So these three digits are 5, 6, and 7. And that one's not a 5. Hmm. 8's there. All right. We've got an 8 there. So these are from 749. These are from 849. Is there some triple or pair or something? That 5 is looking across, so that's not a 5. That's not a 5, and that one is. So that's not a 5, and that one is, because we now have a 3-6 pair. That 7-8 pair is looking back, that's a 6. That's a 7. That's 3, and that's 6. Okay. It's starting to tidy up. One of those is a 2. One of those 3 is a 2. One of those is a 2. They do not line up. Oh, yes, they do. One of those 3 is a 2. One of those 3 is a 2. And so between these 6 digits, that's all the 2's we expect in rows 7 and 8. So that can't be a 2. That is a 2. This is 6 and 7 with 3 or 9. That 5 is looking across there. That's not a 5. That's the 5. That's a 1-2 pair there. 5 is in one of those 2. That's not a 5. Okay. Is it now looking in this central box, or is that going to be the last thing I do? Some other tricky step. Right, let's have a look at ones. Okay. So you've got 1 in one of those, 1 in one of those, 1 in one of those. Not super helpful for this. 2's, I think we know even less about, pretty much. 3's, not looking good. So 3 is in one of those 3. No, the 3 is in one of those 2. if that's 3, then that's 4. That's 3 and that's 2. And that's 7. That's 1 and that's 9. That all seems reasonable. If this is the 3, that becomes a 4-9 pair. It doesn't look very easy to resolve. All right, if that's 1, then that's 2 and that's 1. So if that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. Well, okay, another way to look at it is where does 7 go in this row? It appears that that's the only place. So that's a 7. Okay, that's a little bit. Where is my pressure? All right. 3 is in one of those two here. So 6 is not in any of those or any of those. Yeah, that's not a 6. That's not a 7. So this, wait, has that been the problem? One of those must be a 4. 9 can't be any of those, so one of those must be a 9. So that's not 3. That's a 4-9 pair. That's what I've been missing. So that's 3, 6, 7. And that one is not a 3. That one's not a 7. That one's not a 6. Okay. That 4-9 pair is looking up there. Give me a 1 or a 2. So that 3, 6, 7 is looking across. Well, actually, that being a 4-9 pair means that that can't be a 9 because I don't have any repeats. That makes that a 1 there. That's a 3. That's a 1 with a 2 there. That makes that 3. That's 4. 9 and 4. Okay, this looks like we might have just cracked the last little bit. Hopefully. That's a 3, 6 pair, so this must be a 1 and a 2. These are 4, 8, 9. That gives me a 4, 8, 9 triple in the row. That's not a 2, that's not a 1. Okay. Those are all not 7. So one of those two is a 7. That one is looking up. That is not a 1. That is not a 2. We are getting close. I feel it in my bones. These two digits must be 4 and 8. Can we resolve those? Not quite. Those two must be 7 and 9. Okay, which is the digit with the most pressure? All right. This could be a 1, can't be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 1, 8, or 9. This sees 1, 8, 7, and 5. So still has a lot of candidates. That sees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So that is 6, 8, or 9. I've got a 4, 8, 9 triple in the row. This sees 3, 2, and 5 in addition to that. So that's 1, 6, or 7. Four, 8, 9 triple in the row. It sees 1, 5, and 7 in addition to that. So 2, 3, and 4. It also sees a 2, so that's 3 or 4. Okay. This sees 4, 8, 9, 2, and 6. So that's 1, 3, 7, and 5. Where am I missing my deduction? There is something going on that I can't quite see. Here it is. That 3 on my 2, 3, 4 means that that's a 6. And that's the 3 from this 3, 5 clue. That probably is going to do some damage, hopefully. Or not. It at least removes a 6 from there. Huh. Okay, are there any other clues that I'm not resolving yet? So 6 is in one of those two. 3 from the 3, 7 is in one of those. The 7 from the 3, 7 is one of those, along with a 4 or a 9. And then the other of 4 and 9 is there, along with the 8. Oh, so there's an 8 there. So that's not an 8. That's a 4 or 9. Here we go. There's a 7 in one of those two. There's a 7 in one of those two. So that can't be the 7 in column 8. And that is okay. That 3 is looking up. That's a 6. That's a 3. So those are not 3, and that 6 is looking up. That's a 4. That's a 6. That gives me an 8 here and a 4 here. I think I may have found the last significant digit that I was looking for. All the clues are done, so it looks like it should just be Sudoku now. With any luck, that 8 is looking up. That's a 7, that's an 8, giving me a 7 and a 9. So now it's fill in the central box and the four sides, four edges. So this that 9 is looking across. That's a 4. That 4 is looking back here. That's a 3. That gives me 6, 7, and 3 there. That's not 3. That 7 makes this a 1. That makes that 9, 2, and 1. That is now an 8 and a 6, which resolves my 8 and 4. This one makes that 5. That's 2, that's 1. This must be a 7. This must be a 5. This must be the 2 that I need for the row. And then I need a 9 and a 4, which go that way round. And I appear to have missed something. Yeah, I've got 2 4s in this row. That's because I've got 2 4s over here. What was the error I made there? Right, I removed the wrong digit. That 9 makes that a 4. That removes the 4 from there. That's an 8-9 pair. Okay, that 4 still removes that 3. That's a 6. That's a 7. That's a 3. That 7 makes that a 1. This is still 9, 2, and 1. That's a 5, 2, and 1. That is still a 7. That's still a 5. That 9 and 1 makes that an 8. That resolves this as a 9 and an 8. This is looking a little better. This is a 6. I need a 2 there and a 4 and 9. And that's the 4 and that's the 9. And that's much better. Yep, that is a fantastic puzzle. Yeah, the construction with those quadruples to have the exact number of digits you need for those cells is very clever and a little tricky to spot until you start looking through and wondering if that might be the trick. But no, I really enjoyed that. And apart from my Sudoku error at the end, where I removed the wrong digit from my candidates, happens to the best of us. And I'm certainly not the best of us. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that solve. If you did, then please hit the like button. You can subscribe to see some more, and I would love to hear your comments. I'm looking forward to next time. Be seeing you.